Hi, I'm Dan Wilson, an Atlassian consultant at ISIS Technology, and I'm here with our strategic account manager, Ian Cooperman. Today, we're going to talk about how teams can optimize and simplify Jira to create visibility and increase efficiency. So we'd like to start talking about what's the problem. Many times we find there's too many variations of workflows and fields. Ian, what else have you seen?
Yeah, well, because of those variations in workflows and fields, we end up seeing challenges with being able to, from at least from like a project management office, PMO, or leadership perspective, it's really hard to dig into that information that's everywhere, and it's really challenging to figure out, where's the priority field and what's the status of this and how to. So when we end up having, a messy instance, we end up seeing issues with having clear metrics on projects and being able to understand for each project, this is the life cycle that those projects are in. So one of the big challenges we see, no clarity really and from a reporting perspective, and then, the variations of workflows and fields across projects.
So quite often we solve the problem by looking for and identifying a collection of workflows that can apply across the company. Occasionally we might need to create these to make sure the teams are all working collectively in the same manner. This will help with reporting and other management of projects as we move forward. Ian, what are some other solutions you've used?
Yeah, back to what we talked about in an earlier video is just segmenting those teams and projects in by Jira type or by type. And what we're trying to do is really have set types of projects inside of Jira that are using the same workflows, the same configurations, and you're still able to allow a little flexibility for your teams, but really having a good standard way that we can roll up the teams into a process that makes sense across those project types. Another thing is, now being able to report on progress. So taking the ways that we have segmented these teams by type, or these projects by type, is by now being able to report on the progress because everyone is using the same workflow and field configurations. One of the big things we see when we're doing a lot of this cleanup work is we see clients that have, for example, too many priority fields. And because there are these different priority fields, they're not really aligned on what priority actually means, right? There's no overarching priority model that's provided. And so ends up creating a lot of confusion on, all right, well, this project, this says this is, the most important thing. Another project, they say this is the most important thing, but really they don't really align very well. So being able to standardize, identify and collect those workflows and standardize those workflows across, project types, and then being able to report on that progress is usually that sweet spot on being able to solve that problem.
When you work with ISIS Technology, we're bringing many team members that have experience across many industries. This experience is not just building Jira, but also using it and managing teams. Based on that, we can recommend lots of solutions to make sure that we're fitting the tool to your needs. Ian, can you give us some details on that?
Yeah. So, from that experience that we have across these many different industries, we also understand that every situation is always unique, right? Every client that we work with, they have, different challenges, different team configurations and structure of that organization. So we get that. And so we take, from what Dan's point, we take the experience of recommending those changes and really apply it to your specific use case. So our goal is to have quick wins, right? We want to make sure that not only are we seeing progress to our future state, but we're seeing little wins here and there as we get to that future state. And we help come in and standardize things to help keep the instance clean. ISOS really takes the setup and the structure of your instance and reconfigures it and standardize it. But with that comes the knowledge transfer that we offer. So ISOS also provides training. We, at the end of our engagements, we like to, to work with the Jira administrators, make sure they understand why we did what we did and how they can continue to support it going forward.
Thanks for joining us today as we talked about how teams can optimize and simplify Jira to improve visibility and increase efficiency. For more information, check out our webinar, 5 Rules for Cleaning and Organizing Your Atlassian House, at the link below.